I don't even know anything about this little boy or anything of him or his family or anything. Um,
Okay.
I know I would not ever do something like this in my existence on Earth. Like I can't. I don't even have a heart to get in a fight with somebody and hurt them.
That's Stacey Wondra you just heard there during an interview with Hidden True Crime's Dr. John Matthias in January of 2024. That same man who claimed that he doesn't have a heart to hurt anyone, he's now charged with kidnapping and first-degree murder of a little boy. This is going to be a hard episode, but an important episode about one of the most heartbreaking and long-awaited cases we've ever covered. After more than 4 years of searching and hoping for answers in the disappearance of 5-year-old Michael, also known as Monkey Vaughan, the little boy who vanished while playing outside his home in Fruitland, Idaho, arrests have finally been made. Multiple arrests now. And we now have probable cause affidavits, meaning we have exactly what law enforcement believe happened to a 5-year-old boy who was just looking to play. We shared the breaking news of Stacy's charges last week, but now both Stacy and Sarah Wondra, a couple long suspected and connected to the case, are now both charged with first-degree murder, second-degree kidnapping, and concealment or destruction of evidence. Honestly, this is a moment many of us have been waiting for, especially Michael's family, and for those of us who have followed this case since day one. John and I have both personally interviewed Stacey Wondra, the man now charged with kidnapping and murder. And tonight we're going to walk you through those newly released probable cause affidavits for both Stacey and his then wife, Sarah. Documents that detail what investigators say happened to little Michael and how the case may finally have some answers, despite little Michael, who has still never been found. Michael is still missing. For those who have been with us since the beginning of this case, you know that Michael's case has been one of the most difficult we've ever covered. Back in July of 2021, 5-year-old Michael Vaughan vanished, completely disappeared from his quiet Fruitland, Idaho neighborhood on what seemed like this ordinary, perfect summer evening. His father, Tyler, he was home making dinner for the family. His mother, Brandy, was working. And in the span of just minutes, he disappeared without a trace. Searches began immediately, although no Amber Alert. It's a difficult decision that still haunts some to this day, but the community, they came together. Law enforcement combed fields, canals, farmland. The FBI joined in. Flyers went up across Idaho and then across the country. People across the country, they purchased blue tinted light bulbs and they changed their front porch lights to different hues of blue, Monkey's favorite color, a call to bring him home. But weeks turned into months and months turned into years.
When his nightmare started, he was innocent and free. Now
Through it all, Michael's family, especially his mom, Brandy, and dad, Tyler, did not give up hope. Brandy kept speaking, kept pushing, and kept believing that somebody knew what happened. And now we have the first real picture of what investigators believe unfolded that night and the horrifying chain of events that followed. And this is your trigger warning once again. The newly released probable cause documents for Stacey and Sarah Wondra, which we will go through in detail, lay out what detectives say happened, and it is not an easy read or an easy listen. It's disturbing. A group of adults, friends and lovers, and what police believe they did to a little boy, again, who just simply wanted to play. John and I have reviewed both affidavits, and I will read through them here in this episode. It tells us about the evidence, what witnesses are saying, and then in a following episode, Dr. John will help us understand what these documents reveal and how a person or people could be capable of something so allegedly monstrous. The probable cause paints a chilling timeline, starting with the moment Michael disappeared and how investigators were led to the Wondra home quickly after their search began. Because according to Fruitland police, Michael was last seen between 6:15 and 6:30 that evening, knocking on neighbors' doors, asking to play. By 6:45, his father Tyler realized Michael wasn't in the house. By 7:21, he called 911. And for years, investigators ruled out the Vaughan Neal family, even extended relatives. But one house just blocks away kept coming up again and again. It belonged to Stacy and Sarah Wondra. So let's get to it. Stacy's probable cause. I, Detective Juanita Kelleher, the undersigned being first duly sworn on oath, says, I am a peace officer employed by the Fruitland Police Department. The defendant is alleged to have committed the following crimes between the dates of approximately July 27th, 2021 through 2025. First-degree murder, kidnapping, second degree, destruction or concealment of evidence. The crimes were not committed in my presence. I believe that there is probable cause to believe the defendant committed such crimes because of the following facts. On July 27th, 2021, neighbors reported seeing 5-year-old Michael between approximately 6:15 and 6:30 in the area of Michael's home and nearby residence on South Arizona in Fruitland, Payette County, Idaho. Michael knocked on some of his neighbors' doors, attempting to play with neighbors or in their yards. Michael was told to return home by all of the neighbors he contacted. At approximately 6:45 to 6:50 p.m., Tyler Vaughan noticed his 5-year-old son Michael was missing from their home located in Fruitland, Payette County, Idaho. Tyler began searching his home and property for Michael. Tyler called 911 to report his son missing at approximately 7:21 p.m., and the Fruitland Police Department responded to the area. Fruitland Police Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, along with other local agencies and volunteers, searched for Michael over several weeks and now years. Through interviews, searches, and other corroborating evidence, all of Michael's family and household members have been determined to not have any knowledge of Michael's current location, nor were they involved in Michael's disappearance. All of Michael's neighbors on SW 9th Street and Arizona have also been thoroughly investigated, searched, and interviewed, and have been determined by law enforcement not to have any knowledge of or involvement in Michael's disappearance. The surrounding area was searched extensively, and Michael has never been found. Live sent K9 teams searched the surrounding neighborhoods August 2nd through 3rd, 2021, using a pair of Michael's shoes for Michael's scent. Out of approximately 300 homes, K9 handlers reported the dogs only showed interest in one house located in Fruitland, and this is the home of Stacy and Sarah Wondra. A K9 handler also reported that K9 Banshee showed interest in the area of the corner of Meadowlark and Red Wing Street. The K9 showed interest at the intersection and then headed straight to the fence and front door of the Wondra's residence. So in other words, law enforcement had their eyes on the Wondra's house as early as August 2021, thanks to the impeccable work of K9s. I'll continue. Quote, on August 2nd, 2021, K9 Banshee sent down to a tree over the edge of the bluff off of Southwest 8th and 3 Rivers Way. K9 Banshee was determined to track the scent into the thorny bushes under the tree despite the thorns. A discarded child stroller was located deep in those thorny bushes. On August 5th, 2021, a pink Big Flyer tricycle was located behind the Bluffs sign at 3 Rivers Way and Southwest 8th Street. During the search of the same area the day prior, the tricycle was not there. Jim S., who lives in the 3 River subdivision, later reported that he had found the tricycle over the bluff under a tree next to a child's stroller. Jim said he took it home to use one of the wheels for another project, but then discarded it after not removing the wheel as planned. Jim said he left it behind the bluff sign for neighborhood kids to use. Kim E. would later report to law enforcement that she had seen the tricycle in the Wondra's garage during a yard sale in the spring of 2021. Kim was able to describe the layout of the Wondra's garage and where she saw the tricycle on a stack of boxes. The described stack of boxes was still there during a later search warrant of the Wondra residence and garage. Dorothy S., who was present at or in Fruitland, reported on July 29th, 2021, that she saw Michael riding a big wheel tricycle at the corner of Red Wing Street and Meadowlark Avenue on July 27th. She was either entering or leaving the neighborhood. Dorothy is seen on surveillance videos coming into the neighborhood westbound on SW 8th Street at 6:25 p.m. and left the neighborhood eastbound on SW 8th Street at 7:25 p.m. Other than that, Dorothy's reports, there are no other reports of Michael being seen anywhere other than SW 9th Street and his next door neighbor's house on the date of his disappearance. Video surveillance was gathered from security cameras in the neighborhood Michael disappeared from, as well as the neighboring areas. Michael is never seen on any of the surveillance footage that was obtained. Stacy Wondra is captured on surveillance footage driving a white Lexus and pulling into a parking area of a splash pad in the neighborhood off of SW 8th Street at 3:23 p.m. Those hours on July 27th, 2021, Stacy is seen exiting the driver's door, walking around to the passenger side of the car and appears to be testing the exterior door handle as if to see if it is locked. Stacy then walked back around the driver's side of the vehicle where he got into the driver's seat and exited the area onto SW 8th Street at 3:24 p.m., 1 minute after arriving. Video surveillance shows an adult male walking in the area of Three Rivers Way at 6:08 p.m. on July 27th, 2021, and the same male is captured walking in the area of the neighborhood splash pad at 6:18 p.m. The last image of the male is captured at 6:28 p.m. as he walked through the wooded area to the west back toward the area in which the Wondras lived. Brandon Shirtliff was identified in 2022 as being this person and told detectives during an interview that the surveillance video captured him as he was walking and searching for a missing child on the date that Michael disappeared. This video captured Brandon walking prior to Michael being reported missing. Brandon reported he was living with the Wondras on that date. On August 1st, 2021, Fruitland police contacted the residents in Fruitland. On their initial search of the residence, they located Adrian Lucene hiding in a closet. And residents of the home on that date and on July 27th, 2021, were identified as married couple Stacy and Sarah Wondra and their sublets, Brandon Shirtliff and Adrian Lucene. All four of them were interviewed on August 1st, 2021, just days after Michael or Monkey disappeared. Adrian was vague in that interview, and his statements would not commit to a solid statement. He also refused to provide his social security number and identification confirmation. He provided Stacy's phone number as his own and concealed his real phone number from law enforcement. On August 21st, 2021, Sarah reported that on July 27th, 2021, she and Stacy slept until noon. Sarah said that they left their residence around 5 p.m. to tow a vehicle to Cuna. Sarah and Stacy denied they were home around 6:30 p.m. on July 27th, 2021. Cell phone tower data and surveillance footage show Sarah, Stacy, Adrian, and Brandon were in the area of their neighborhood at the time of Michael's disappearance. Sarah, Adrian, and Brandon returned to Fruitland. This is verified by surveillance in Sarah's blue Toyota Corolla at 5:08 p.m., only to leave again at 5:12 p.m. The Toyota came back into the neighborhood again at 5:56 p.m. Surveillance footage shows Sarah driving the maroon GMC pickup on July 27th, 2021. And as she drove out of the neighborhood at 7:08 p.m., Stacy has been identified as the front passenger and Brandon was a driver's side rear passenger. Sarah and Stacy and Brandon's phone data show that they were co-located as they left the neighborhood at 7:08 p.m. all together, and they drove to Cuna, Idaho. Yeah, there you go. They were all together driving to Cuna. Remember that. Adrian's phone did not provide any location data during the evening of July 27th, 2021. However, Adrian took a selfie and photo in the guest bathroom at the Wondra residence at 7:26 p.m. Wondra's maroon GMC pickup truck is captured on surveillance footage returning to their Fruitland neighborhood at 11:22 p.m. on July 27th, 2021. pulling or towing a silver Mercedes-Benz. Following Michael's disappearance, Sarah had a distinct change in behavior. Following Michael's disappearance, listen to this, Sarah began to stand along the highway near Love's gas station in Ontario, Oregon. By the way, Fruitland, Idaho is right by Ontario, Oregon. It's a border town between Oregon and Idaho. So she would stand along the highway near Love's gas station in Ontario, Oregon, with signs stating to, quote, repent of your sins and that the end of time was near, end quote. Admittedly, mornings are always a little chaotic for me. I'm prepping episodes, family life, and there's a lot of caffeine involved. But one thing that has become a constant is AG1. It's this easy way I found to actually start my day feeling on track and in control. AG1 is this daily foundational nutritional habit. It supports whole body health. It's clinically shown to support gut health, fill in common nutrient gaps, and with five probiotic strains, and then over 75 vitamins and minerals, it replaces the need for even a multivitamin, a probiotic, and more. It's simple, one scoop, once a day. It replaces half of the bottles in my cabinet. It helps me feel energized and steady throughout the day. And like I said, on track. And now AG1 has even new flavors like tropical, berry, and citrus. I honestly look forward to drinking it every morning. It's backed by real science. AG1 has multiple gold standard clinical trials proving its results. And for less than $3 a day, it's giving me more than $7 worth of daily nutritional support and costs less than that coffee through the drive-thru. So here's the deal. Head to drinkag1.com/hidden to get a free welcome kit that includes a bottle of vitamin D and a free AG1 travel packs. And when you first subscribe, you get those travel packs and that vitamin D among a welcome kit. drinkag1.com/hidden. Sarah's social media posts on TikTok and Facebook also changed drastically to religion and asking for forgiveness of her sins. Prior to Michael's abduction, Sarah had posted only approximately 11 videos on TikTok over 3 years. But following Michael's abduction, Sarah posted approximately 329 videos from September 15th, 2021 through December 24th, 2021. In TikTok videos, Sarah posted that Sarah made testimony statements regarding her involvement in criminal behaviors and stated that she had broken all 10 commandments, all of the 10 commandments. And it should be noted, the probable cause states that thou shalt not kill is one of the 10 commandments.
Also, the main reason I believe in Jesus is I have done so many bad things in my life. I've lied. I've cheated, I've stolen, I've coveted my neighbor. I pretty much broke every 10 commandment besides physical murder, you know. But Jesus said in Matthew, if you hate your brother or you hate someone in your heart, you've murdered them. So, I mean, technically by what Jesus said, yeah, I guess I've committed all of them. But I haven't physically murdered someone, obviously, but I'm just saying, like, those things, I've done all those things. And I believe in Jesus because I know deep down that I am in desperate need of a Savior. Because I am just like Leviticus says, you know, all of our good works are filthy rags unto the Lord. And I don't know if you know what that filthy rags means, but it's talking about women's period rags. There's nothing that we can do good in this life that could fix any of the bad that we've done. Because God's irrefutable proof that He exists proves that His word needs to be taken seriously, and none of it contradicts each other. All of it is found to be 100% true. In fact, prophecies have been fulfilled and are being fulfilled right now. So, if that's true, and I know I'm an imperfect person, by completion. I mean, I'm completely imperfect. Not because God made me that way, but because sin was entered in this world. And I've indulged in it. I've indulged in too much sin. The first time I ever sinned was too much sin. Because Jesus is perfect. And God is perfect. And I don't want to live without God. Look at all the beauty around. Look at all the beautiful things that are still here. That's because the Holy Spirit.
Sarah also alleged in her videos that it did not matter what sins she had committed because God had forgiven her for all of them. Michael's missing person flyer can be seen on her refrigerator in the background in some of her videos. That is true, and it is chilling. Sarah was interviewed again by law enforcement on November 15th, 2021. Stacy was also interviewed. After being confronted with the photo of her leaving the neighborhood on July 27th, 2021, driving the GMC pickup at 7:08 p.m., Sarah changed her story and said she was driving the GMC to get to Brandon's Mercedes-Benz from Cuna to tow it back to Fruitland. Sarah said the trip to Cuna to get the car had not been previously planned and that it was Stacy who wanted to go get that car at the time and date. Sarah said she stopped at SW 8th in South Arizona on the way out of the neighborhood to input the address into the GPS. Sarah said she drove to North Snowbell in Cuna, which is Brandon's mother's home. And it's worth noting that Brandon was in the truck with them when they entered the GPS coordinates to go to Brandon's mother's house, and that Sarah's and Brandon's cell phone data showed them at the residence earlier that day. Sarah said that Brandon's mother, Tina Moriali, was out of town. Sarah said Tina did not allow Brandon to have people in her home when she was not there. So Sarah and Stacy, they parked down the road, and Brandon used a back gate on the south side to enter Tina's residence so that her doorbell camera did not capture him there. Sarah reported that while towing the car back to Fruitland, the tow strap broke. Sarah and Stacy Wondrish sold their phones, lost or sold their vehicles, and got rid of their furniture shortly after Michael went missing. Sarah was asked about changing her phones following Michael's abduction. Sarah provided two reasons. Sarah said that they sold their phones because she and Stacy were splitting up, and Sarah said they sold their phones because a demon told her to. Sarah was still paying on the phones that she sold. Sarah was asked about her Facebook post and provided the following responses, quote, "I literally had like a demon tell me that I need to leave my husband. And I literally deleted all of my pictures. I have no idea what my passwords are. We had a fight. My husband and I had to sell our phones and we had to get new phones and I can't access any of my stuff. So I do have Facebook, just don't have access to it right now." End quote. When asked about the vehicles Sarah and Stacy have, Sarah said the GMC pickup was repossessed. Sarah said that she told Stacy when they heard the repo guys were coming to take the truck, quote, "We are going to be the nicest repo they ever had today," end quote. Law enforcement was later told that the truck appeared to have been thoroughly cleaned prior to the repo. Following the interview on November 15th, 2021, Brandon reported Sarah and Stacy contacted him and told him that they were re-interviewed about Michael's abduction. Brandon said Stacy suggested that they were not involved in M's abduction. Stacy suggested Brandon come over to their place and create an alibi or write a letter on behalf of Sarah and Stacy saying that they were not involved in Michael's abduction. Tina Moriali, Brandon Shirtliff's mother, was interviewed by law enforcement, and Tina reported that Brandon's behavior changed after he lived with the Wondrous. So Sarah's behavior's changed. Now Brandon's behavior is changing. Tina explained that Brandon became more depressed and withdrawn, spending more time playing video games and smoking marijuana. Tina would not tell law enforcement where Brandon was or what his phone number was at that time. Kay Ramsey, Sarah's mother, was interviewed and shown a picture of a tricycle described above. Kay claimed that she found the tricycle in some bushes prior to Michael's abduction. The bushes that Kay described are near where Jim S. found the tricycle just after Michael's abduction. Kay said That would be the reason her DNA would be on the tricycle. Kay said that after all of that effort, she left it at the intersection of Three Rivers Way and SW 8th Street. Kay was 73 years old in July of 2021, and the bushes were very difficult to get to. Kay Ramsey, Sarah's mother, also confirmed to law enforcement that Sarah and Stacy's dog had dug holes in the backyard of the Red Wing residence. Kay reported the dog had dug up what she later determined to be the ear of a green stuffed animal. Kay said that she had thrown away the stuffed ear. Kay Ramsey is alleged to have withheld information and or evidence in other criminal investigations involving Sarah in 2022. And then Kay initially concealed a firearm used in an aggravated assault in which Sarah was later convicted of. So I'm going to pause really quickly. This is Lori now, not quoting me. It sounds as if Kay Ramsey, Sarah's mother, might also be facing charges. We shall see. Let's continue. Why I wasn't expecting that. Covering up for her daughter. I'll go on. Back to the probable cause. When law enforcement met with Sarah on October 12th, 2022, Sarah said that God told her he was going to help her find the boy. During the interview, at the first mention of Michael, Sarah became emotional and broke down, crying in front of the detective. Sarah wrote a testimony and said that if law enforcement read it, they would locate Michael. Sarah suggested God had forgiven Hitler for his sins and that God had redeemed Sarah for her sins. Christy Kutch told detectives prior to Sarah's arrest in April of 2022, she made a statement about Stacy being involved in the abduction of a 5-year-old boy. Christy said she made personal notes of their conversation. In June of 2022, there was a recorded jail phone call between Sarah and Christy where Sarah advised Stacy had been arrested. Christy asked if he had been charged with the kidnapping of a 5-year-old boy. Sarah recanted her prior statements, claiming that Christy misunderstood her prior comments. Also mentioned was how Sarah's dog was digging large holes in the backyard. On November 5th, 2022, at 12:55 a.m., Stacy contacted Fruitland Police and requested an interview at the Washington County Jail. This is interesting. He is requesting the interview. And at that time, Stacy provided vague details about events surrounding Michael's abduction. Stacy and Sarah's religious beliefs and behavior started within a couple of days after Michael's abduction. After Stacy's arrest for an unrelated incident, Stacy spoke of changing phones and or SIM cards to prevent law enforcement from following or profiling him. And all right, before we continue, again, the next paragraphs are very difficult. I'll begin. Quote, on November 10th, 2022, Stacy asked again to speak with the Fruitland police detectives. Stacy wanted a deal, the same offer that was given to Sarah in the Michael Vaughan case. Stacy admitted Michael had been in his house the night of Michael's abduction. Stacy admitted the tricycle had been in his garage, where Kim E. had previously described seeing it. Stacy then said that when he first saw Michael, Sarah was carrying Michael into their home. Stacy said Michael was put into a duffel bag to transport him out of their house and to Brandon's house in Cuna. Stacy said Sarah was frantic, trying to figure out what to do, and Brandon interjected, quote, I have a duffel bag, end quote. Stacy described Michael as crying, and to prevent him from moving or making noise, Stacy described how Sarah taped Michael using duct tape. When asked who put Michael in the bag, Stacy said Brandon grabbed the bag and gave it to Sarah. Sarah picked up Michael as Adrian helped hold the sides of the bag open as they shoved Michael in the duffel bag. Stacy described Michael was wiggling, trying to get away. Stacy said he could see Michael in the bag with his knees bent up in the fetal position, and while describing and demonstrating how Michael was taped and stuffed into a duffel bag in his living room, Stacy had a physical reaction and began violently vomiting. When asked if he was vomiting because of the chewing tobacco he was using, he indicated that he was throwing up because the stress of talking about Michael. Stacy provided 2 reasons they stopped in the GMC at the corner of Southwest 8th Street and South Arizona in Fruitland. 1, for Stacy to put power steering fluid into the vehicle, and 2, so Brandon could check to see if Michael was still alive, because Michael was bound with duct tape and stuffed into a duffel bag in the bed of the truck. Stacy said he was able to hear Michael making noises like a dull scream. Stacy said they were worried about being seen because they saw a car parked off of South Arizona. Stacy said they drove straight to Brandon's mother's house in Kuna, Idaho, where Brandon grabbed both bags, the duffel containing Michael, and a backpack, and went into the house by himself. Stacy said that once they arrived in Kuna, Michael was not making any more noises, and none of them had checked on Michael to verify he was still alive. Stacy said that Brandon told him he left Michael in the bag and put him in the spare room inside his mother's house. They then towed Brandon's car back to Fruitland. Stacy said that Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian went to Kuna the next day to get Michael. The 3 of them brought Michael's body back to the house in Fruitland. He stated that he was inside, Brandon was on guard, and Sarah and Adrian dug the hole together. Stacy reported he did not previously report this information because he thought he would still get into trouble and because he was fearful of Sarah hurting him. In an interview, Stacy stated that Michael had a stuffed animal, some sort of stuffed animal, I want to say, like a dinosaur or monkey. And what I saw was a monkey. It was a green and looked like a green monkey, end quote. In one interview, Stacy advised the lime green monkey was a dog toy and that he and Sarah gave it to Monkey to keep him quiet while he was sitting on the couch in their room. Additionally, Stacy stated that the idea to take a child to sell for money was Adrian's, and they would get a $10,000 cut. Stacy was asked if Sarah provided any direction throughout any part of this. Stacy said that Sarah asked him and Brandon to follow her lead, which was to take the kid. Stacy recalled that most of the conversation at that point was Sarah trying to figure out what they were going to do. Sarah had asked Brandon where we should put the boy, and Brandon was like, well, you guys can take him over to my house and we'll deal with it, and that will buy us some time, end quote. Following his interview with law enforcement, Stacy called his mother, Tamara Johnson, from the Washington County Jail on a video visit. Tamara asked Stacy if Michael was alive. Stacy shook his head and said, Sarah accidentally killed him. Tamara asked, how? Stacy said, suffocation, and went on to say they buried him in a duffel bag, end quote. After his interview and phone call to his mother, Stacy wrote an apology letter to Michael's parents and then attempted to hang himself in his jail cell, but he was rescued by Washington County Jail staff. And I'm going to take a break from reading the probable cause for a moment here and point out that Stacy brought up a duffel bag during his interview with Dr. John in January of 2024, nearly 2 years ago. It is chilling. And before we continue, I just want to play it, and then we'll go ahead and keep reading the probable cause.
Okay. So by my calculations, this would put us around 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And you and Sarah and Brandon are going to go get his car.
Correct.
So you get in your vehicle to do that?
Yeah. So, yeah. We went and I grabbed the tow strap from the garage because we didn't have a trailer, so I had to tow it. Keep in mind, we had to tow it with a strap.
Okay.
So went to we got everything ready. Brandon, got all of his clothes ready, and because he had a bunch of clothes, dirty clothes, and so he got his clothes ready, put them in his duffel bag, and we went through the garage, and I threw the tow strap in the back of the truck, and then we took off.
A quick word from our sponsor. Does anybody else dread that 5 p.m. question as much as me? That question, what's for dinner? Yeah, I used to stare into my fridge hoping something would magically cook itself. Spoiler, it never did. But now I've got Tavalla, and dinner is officially off my to-do list. This podcast episode is sponsored by Tavalla. Tavalla is a smart countertop oven and meal subscription that work together to make cooking effortless. You just scan the meal's QR code, you pop it in, and the oven cooks it perfectly, steaming, baking, broiling, no guesswork. The other night, I made their chicken parmesan in my Tavalla, and I swear it tasted like something I would have spent hours cooking from scratch, but I would never do that because I don't have time. And yet I do have time now because it only took minutes. And the best part, their meals are chef crafted with real fresh ingredients, not the sad microwave stuff I used to settle for. And get this, Tavalla's oven isn't just for their meals. It can scan and cook store-bought favorites too, like Eggo waffles and Amy's frozen meals. It seriously feels like cooking from the future. And here's the deal. For a limited time, because you're a hidden true crime listener, you can save up to $300 on the Tavalla Smart Oven when you order 6 meals or more by heading to tavalla.com/hidden and using code HIDDEN. That's $300 off. Go to TOVALA.com and use promo code HIDDEN. With Tavalla, dinner is taken care of. I'll return to the affidavit now. Quote, it should be noted that during some parts of Stacy's incarceration in the Washington County Jail, prior to his confession and directions on where to find Michael's body, Sarah was out of custody and living back at the house on Red Wing Street, as evidenced by her being there when law enforcement arrived to execute the search warrant. Sarah could have had the time and ability to move any evidence from the property without Stacy's knowledge. In June of 2022, Sarah called Kay Ramsey, her mother, from jail and spoke about spouses being able to testify against each other. In a recorded phone call from the Washington County Jail to Sarah, Stacy expressed concern that Sarah was going to turn on Stacy. Sarah confirmed that Stacy was referring to Michael. Sarah told Stacy that she had already told her attorney that she wasn't going to turn on Stacy and that she wasn't going to testify against Stacy. Stacy then reassured Sarah he would never testify against her. As a search warrant was executed on November 12th, 2022, Stacy described the exact location as to where to find Michael buried in the backyard of the residence. He instructed detectives through video chat.
Well, I'm hoping that you will help me a little bit more. I'm over here, I'm in your home. Okay. So I need a little bit more direction about where Michael is at.
Go out the back door, or
Okay.
I can't. Can you turn the camera around so I can show you?
We're going to flip it around right now. Stand by.
Right here.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm going out the kitchen door.
And that's some equipment.
That is some equipment. Okay, where do I need to go?
Okay, face to the right. Like right where the dirt piles are.
Right where the dirt piles are. About how far off of the fence?
Go
ahead. Okay, walk over there and you point us to where it needs to be.
Okay. Now keep going out a little further.
Keep going out a little further. You're going to have to climb that mound.
It's like right under that mound area.
It's right under the mound, about where at compared to the trees?
A little like right to the right of the trees area.
To the right of the trees?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little
So,
bit. Where the
okay, where at now?
now he's off the dirt mound. It's like underneath the dirt mound area.
And about where he's standing?
Yeah, a little bit less, like closer to the house.
Come closer to the house?
Yeah.
And what is he wrapped in?
He should be, it should be a garbage bag.
Okay, what color is the garbage bag?
It would either be white or black. We only had two colors.
I want you to direct him from the fence where that orange thing in his hand is. Where do we need to stop it?
Right about there.
Right about there. Okay. All right. We will try there.
Okay.
Do you have any other suggestions for us, Stacy?
Like I said, that's where he was buried.
Okay.
That's the last place I had known. Again, haven't been home for quite a while, and a lot of shit. You know what I mean? So the only other place I would say, if he's not in that backyard, is go to Cuna to Brandon's house and check in the backyard by the tree area.
Okay, well, we're gonna finish here first, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay.
So does he need to go right or left? Or anywhere else?
That general area, that bucket's enough to dig, but you're gonna want to start digging underneath the dirt piles.
Okay. How far down is Michael?
I don't know how far she actually dug, to be honest with you.
About. Give me an estimate.
Maybe 4 or 5 feet.
4 or 5 feet? 4 or 5 feet, that's probably taller than me.
Like I said, you asked for an estimate, I'm giving you what, it's probably shorter than that. I don't have an exact idea.
Okay, when she dug the hole, was she standing in the hole?
She's standing outside of it.
Okay, and was she using a regular shovel?
I think it was a bullnose, or what do you call them, pointed ones.
Okay, and was she able to stand on the outside of the ground and the shovel able to reach the bottom of the hole?
Yeah.
Okay, about how far down was the shovel in the hole?
I don't know, let's say, like 3 feet down. 2 feet down. I don't have like I said, I don't have an exact, measurement, to give you. I didn't pay attention that far.
That's okay. Okay, we will try where you suggested, and I will call you back. Okay, Stacy?
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Sierra Wondra, who was located in the residence at the time, was detained. As officers read to her the search warrant, Sarah made several strange statements. Quote, "Wow, that is a lot. I definitely did not kill that boy. The Most High God already told me who did it so. Oh, wow, the Most High God just told me that Stacy was the one who killed him, and he buried him in the yard of Carson's house." End quote. She also said, quote, "The Most High God told her Stacy was the one that killed him, and he buried him. The Most High God just told me that Stacy was the one who did it. He wants me to make sure you understand that I had nothing to do with it. He said that Stacy buried him in the backyard by the shed. It wasn't actually Stacy who harmed the boy." End quote. Wow. As officers started to search the residence, Sarah asked several times if the officers had found him yet. End quote. Idaho State Police and Ada County Sheriff's Office assisted with the execution of the search warrant at the Wondra's residence, along with 5 separate certified cadaver canines. Prior to officers digging in the backyard of the Wondra residence, cadaver canines were deployed and alerted in the backyard to a total of 5 certified cadaver dogs. They were all deployed, and all 5 alerted inside the Wondra backyard in the approximate area of where Stacy claimed he witnessed Sarah and Adrian bury Michael. Neither Michael nor any human remains were located during the execution of this search warrant. Prior to excavating the backyard, law enforcement noted there were several areas in the yard that appeared to have been filled in with dirt and or resodded. Kay and Ed Ramsey reported they had filled in areas of the yard where Stacy and Sarah's dog had dug holes. At various interviews after the disappearance of Michael, Stacy was asked what happened to his and Sarah's cell phones from July of 2021. Stacy said Sarah wanted to detract attention so we are not on the radar, end quote. And that was the reason they sold the phones. When asked if there was evidence of the crimes on these phones, Stacy said there were text messages. Investigation revealed that the Wondras changed their phones approximately 3 times in a 5-month period. Stacy described purchasing SIM cards to put in his cell phone to evade law enforcement. The GMC pickup was subsequently repossessed for non-payment. Stacy then called Kim's cars, wanting the truck back or to borrow it. He also told them to hurry up and sell it. Stacy further advised that they sold the Lexus they had at the time Michael was abducted. Within a few weeks of Michael's disappearance, the Wondras' cloud data revealed that Stacy and Sarah searched for rental houses in other states and financial assistance in different areas. Additionally, a photo of items boxed up was taken on July 30th, 2021, as if they were preparing to move. In summation, Stacy confessed that the 4 members of the household, Stacy Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Brandon Shirtliff, and Adrian Lucene, were all involved in the abduction and killing of Michael. The neighbor, Dorothy S., saw Michael riding a tricycle near the Wondra home at the time Michael went missing. That same tricycle was seen in the Wondra garage prior to the abduction. That tricycle was discarded outside the neighborhood off a bluff after Michael went missing. Kay Ramsey, Sarah Wondra's mother, claimed to have found it and moved it to the entrance of the neighborhood, which is refuted by the fact that another neighbor unrelated to the case claimed to have found it and placed it there. That's Jim. Kay's story also does not account for the fact that the tricycle was in the house before being discarded and before Michael went missing. Live scent track dogs were deployed, and the only house they showed interest in was the Wondra house. That same dog showed interest in the area where Michael went missing from the area where the tricycle was discarded. Based on the foregoing, your affiant is requesting that Stacy Wondra be charged with kidnapping and murder in the first degree, as well as the concealment of evidence and of the probable cause for Stacy Wondra. Difficult read. As far as Sarah Wondra's probable cause, we'll read that. Sarah is now charged with the same as Stacy, first-degree murder, second-degree kidnapping, and destruction of or concealment of evidence. Her probable cause, honestly, was nearly identical to Stacy's, nearly identical, but with a few more details related directly to Sarah's actions and her part in Michael's disappearance and murder, which we'll now go over now, those specific details. It states, quote, cell phone data showed that Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian were co-located in Meridian, Idaho on July 27th, 2021, earlier in the day, meaning the day of Michael's abduction. It then states, quote, written communication between Sarah and Stacy on August 8th, 2021 was recovered from the iCloud data. Sarah told Stacy that on that date that she wanted to move and, quote, get out of this neighborhood and this house, end quote. Sarah also said to Stacy, quote, I like it better when you agreed to be no one else here ever, but then you didn't want to listen to me about our sanctuary, so now we need to find another one. I need a new castle, end quote. Written communication from Sarah's phone on August 12th, 2021 indicates a falling out between Stacy and Brandon, with Brandon being kicked out of the Wondra residence, and Sarah changed her phone number. The affidavit talked more about Sarah's interview on the 15th in 2021, where she talked about towing Brandon's car back from Kuna. It reads, quote, Sarah reported that while towing the car back to Fruitland, the tow strap broke. While they were on the side of the road, Sarah reported she urinated and removed the shirt she was wearing in order to use it to wipe. Sarah would not provide information on which shirt she was wearing or what happened to it. Upon returning to their neighborhood, Sarah said they spoke with a pedestrian who informed them of the missing child. Sarah did not mention wearing a shirt when they spoke with the pedestrian, but previously spoke of trying to cover herself as she was standing along the roadway. Sarah said that after returning home, she and Brandon took her blue Toyota and drove around to help search for the child, again, not mentioning reclothing. In later interviews, Sarah stated she and Brandon went to the gas station for soda and candy prior to helping with the search. Sarah stated that on that night, she drove down SW 9th Street for the first time and drove past Michael's home, where she saw Michael's mother crying outside. Sarah said she and Brandon went home due to the number of people already out searching. End quote. That is the end of her little pieces of her probable cause affidavit that differ from Stacy's. And to end on that fact that she saw that night Brandy Neal, Monkey's mother, outside crying while she knew exactly what had happened. And none of these four adults told her anything. The affidavit further went on to state, though, quote, while Sarah Wondra was in custody at the Payette County Jail, she was emotionally distraught and complained about people saying she did something bad. The jailer asked what was going on, and she described, quote, I don't know if it was him. I don't know what body I saw, and end quote. And then when the jailer asked, body, what do you mean? She explained, quote, I don't know. It was in the bag. I couldn't see it, end quote. And then when the jailer realized that she was possibly talking about her case, he ended the discussion. Such a difficult read. I'm grateful we're finally getting answers. In our next episode, we will share, for the first time publicly, Dr. John Matthias's full unedited interview with Stacy Wondra. Again, this was in January of 2024. And this is the man now charged with kidnapping and killing 5-year-old Michael Vaughan. And I'm going to follow that episode. After that, we will have Dr. John weigh in on his thoughts after reading both affidavits and revisiting that chilling 2024 interview. May justice be served.